Sometime this year, Skyy Clark will be returning to Champaign wearing a UCLA uniform. But now the talk is that Skyy Clark was hoping to come back to Champaign wearing an Illini uniform. Locked on Illini, let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Just a reminder, we are free and available wherever you get podcasts from and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Sonny. You can find me at IlliniCast if you want to chat on Twitter. Just do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and more in the community will start getting this content. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So the big news is, well, first and foremost, I'll just say for those looking for an update, Will Riley is still in Champaign as of Tuesday afternoon. I believe he's leaving campus tonight. Things seem to be going okay, but I think he's still going to be making his other visits. How confident I feel in that recruiting? I wouldn't say very confident, but more confident than I thought I would. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'll talk about it later on this week. But the big news today was Illinois assistant coach Tim Anderson was a guest on Stephen Bardo, legendary Stephen Bardo's podcast. And Stephen was actually talking about Trey White, the new wing that Illinois has recruited this year from Louisville. And Tim Anderson kind of started off the conversation and directed it in a way that has everyone in Illini Nation talking about it. What he basically said was that former Illini guard Skyy Clark was the one who told Trey White to come to Champaign. It sounds like what Tim was saying is that Skyy Clark regrets the fact that he had left the team 2 seasons ago. And a lot of this has been confirmed by other reporters who also watched the same interview. Supposedly his father and Skyy both regret having left the program a couple years back. And that just got to me wondering whether ultimately this was a good thing for the program and for Skyy or not. Now, if you recall, back in the day, Illinois was going hard after Kylan Boswell, who was the young player who obviously grew up in Champaign. We had him in for an official visit, and I thought we were going to lock it down, but inevitably he went over to Arizona, and he ended up committing out there. I mean, his family was located out there in his high school days, so they were the favorite pretty early on. And then once Boswell had committed, we kind of focused a little bit on Jeremy Fears, but not very strongly. And then ultimately it looked like Jeremy was ready to commit, but we kind of backed away. And legend has it, now I can't confirm this, and maybe if one of you can comment in the comment section. I think I got the names right. I believe so. But legend has it, we didn't really push on Fears because we had a very good idea that Skyy Clark, who at the time was a 5-star, was going to be willing to commit to the Illini. And Jeremy ended up going to Michigan State. Obviously, Jeremy's the older brother of Illini commit Jeremiah Fears. And just as expected, Skyy Clark ended up committing to the Illini. It was a short-lived relationship between the two. Skyy Clark left the team, I believe, sometime mid-December. The rumors were that because of his early season struggles, that there was a possibility that he was going to lose his place in the starting lineup. Whatever the reasons were, he cleared out his apartment and he had left. And then he didn't do any favors, I guess you can say, with Illini Nation, because pretty much the minute we lost in the NCAA tournament, about 2 minutes later, he posted his commitment tweet when he announced that he was going to Louisville. So obviously that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Now, Skyy had a pretty decent season individually out at Louisville. And, Illinois last year, despite not having a point guard, actually had a pretty successful season themselves. it seemed like this was the best for both parties. Now, Skyy Clark, obviously, Louisville was a disaster. That was a dumpster fire of a program last year. And obviously, they're making drastic changes. And a lot of their players left, including Skyy Clark and including Trey White, who ultimately ended up coming to Champaign. But I'm trying to decide for myself, and I think Illini fans are also, this is something that they've got to discuss, because when the schedules came out and they saw that UCLA will be making a trip out to Champaign, a lot of people were just imagining how loud the boos were going to be for Skyy Clark. And so I'm kind of introspecting myself and just trying to figure out how I plan on reacting on that particular day. And honestly, I think I'm okay with Skyy now. We all made mistakes. I mean, he was 19 years old. He had a pretty long history of going from school to school to school. I think he had 7 schools in 7 years. So sometimes with time comes maturation. And the fact that he's been open and cordial with the staff since he left, almost to the point where rumors are that he asked to come back to the university. And Skyy could have very easily told Trey White that, hey, Champagne's not where it's at. Brad Underwood is a big meanie. He's going to be on your tail. This is not the type of guy you want to play for. But he didn't. In fact, it sounds like he was promoting Illinois. And if Tim Anderson knows that Skyy Clark wanted to come back, I wouldn't be surprised if Trey White didn't know that as well. So at this point, I'm going to let bygones be bygones. I will boo Skyy Clark when he comes to Champaign, but not any more than I boo anyone else of his teammates wearing the UCLA jersey. UCLA is now a Big Ten rival. Is there added animosity? Probably. Will the stadium be a little louder? Probably. But is he now one of those players that I'm rooting against? No. If I had to judge Skyy Clark for his decisions at 18, 19, 20 years old, then I'd have to judge myself for some of my decisions at 18, 19, 20 years old. And I know I was far from perfect. And ultimately, we got Kylan Boswell as our starting point guard this year. It's funny how the circle of life just came about. Boswell, the guy we originally wanted, went to Arizona, and now he's here in Champaign, and he's going to be the starting point guard. So the story worked out for the Illini. And it looks like Skyy Clark ultimately got to be a point guard in the Big Ten. So I don't see any losers here. And I'm not going to be wishing ill will towards any young kid for any decisions that they made, maybe on an emotional basis or whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm not involved with him personally. What decisions you guys want to make, that's up to you. I am curious, though. Are you going to be booing Skyy Clark? I guess the question's more, are you going to be booing him the same had you not heard this story? Or are you going to boo him less? Is he good in your book or not? Let me know what you think in the comments. The NBA Finals are here. Just remember, Gametime makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LockedOnCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem a code LockedOnCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So Isaac Trotter of CBS Sports came out with a post-transfer portal top 25. And he had Illinois placed at the 24th position. I'm taking a look right now. He has UCLA at 16, Indiana at 17, Purdue at 18, and as I mentioned, Illinois at 24. Now, that tells me a couple things. It confirms a couple thoughts that I kind of had, and that there's no big dog in the Big Ten this year. Last year, with Zach Edey returning, and really just about everyone else on Purdue returning, it was a foregone conclusion that Purdue was going to be one of the top teams in the country. This year, I'm not sure the Big Ten has a team that's going to ultimately finish in the top 5, maybe not even top 7 or 8 in the country. It's a group of unknowns. Obviously, Indiana's brought in a lot of talent. And if you didn't know that, talk to your closest Indiana fan and they'll tell you that, because they are excited for what they perceive as being the offseason champions right now. Purdue obviously has probably the Big Ten preseason player of the year in Braden Smith coming back, and you can't really ever count out a Matt Painter team. But I kind of want to focus a little bit on the Illini at 24. Some people think that's too low. Some people think that's too high. Now, this is the first time I've actually seen him in the top 25 preseason poll. Most during the offseason, at least, I've seen him in like the 30, 35 range. I think maybe the acquisition of KJ last week has kind of solidified what our lineup is going to look like. So it's easier for the experts to try to place us where they think the talent lies. And I think, honestly, at 24 sounds about right. This is a brand new team. Illinois is a very talented team. I think the team that we're going to put on the court next year, and that's let's just go with the assumption that Will Riley does not commit to the Illinois and he's not on the team. I still think the team that we're putting on the court next year has more NBA talent than the team that we put on the court last year. Now, NBA talent doesn't necessarily equate to college wins. Last year's team was a veteran team. This year's team is not. Brad has obviously shifted his strategy a little bit. We have massive roster turnover. We're returning 2 guys from last year's team. And just by human nature, you would think it's going to take some time for the Illini players to gel, to kind of understand the way each other play, get to know each player's nuances, where a certain player likes to be passed the ball. This is going to take some time. Now, I think Brad Underwood can do it. I have faith in Brad Underwood. I think he's one of the best in the game in changing his game plan around to match his roster set. I think he's better at it than most of the coaches in the country, even the ones that are considered better coaches than he is. It's a skill of Brad's that I don't take for granted. But starting at 24 is probably where I would have placed the Illinois right now if I had a gun to my head. Top 4 team in the Big Ten, which I guess technically that's basically what Isaac has. Do I think this team can win the Big Ten next year? I do. I really do. It's going to simply come down to who's going to be the best player on next year's team. Is it Hummerkaus? Is it Boswell? Could it be Riley? Ivisic? We have a lot of guys. We have a lot of good basketball players. I just don't know who's going to be the best one. Now, keep in mind, last year, we had Shannon, but I didn't know who the second best player was going to be. And if you listen to my other show, Illini Cast, that was always my biggest concern. Who was going to be his Robin? Turns out Marcus Domask could have been the alpha on a lot of basketball teams in the country last year. It was a pleasant surprise, and I'm not ruling out the fact that maybe we might have another pleasant surprise coming into this season. I just don't know yet. I just don't know who it's going to be yet. So overall, 24 in the preseason poll, I think that's probably where they should be. But I do think this team has top 15 talent. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Again, I think we're a younger team. And if you've been following along with this show, you know how high I am on the following year's team when this team matures a little bit and becomes a team of upperclassmen. That team, I think, will contend for a national championship. But in order for that team to reach that level, it may have to go through some growing pains. And now I feel like the fact that Illinois basketball, their growing pain seasons are talking about being in the low 20s when it comes to rankings. We've come a long way, and I'm grateful. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. The Team USA under 18s had their first game last night with an 88-66 win over Argentina, and it was our chance to watch. You could watch it on YouTube, and it was our chance to watch Jeremiah Fears and Morez Johnson Jr. make their debut for their country. And quite honestly, it was a pretty sloppy game to watch. I don't watch much of this style of basketball, but it very much seemed like very evident that these young kids have not played much together. Jeremiah had only played 13 minutes. He had, looks like, 4 points, 3 rebounds, assist, and 3 steals. All 3 steals were in the first half, and I'll get to that in a second. Morez Johnson played under 8 minutes. He only had 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals himself. Now, obviously, I was hoping that our two boys were going to play some more minutes on the court against Argentina. I don't know if this is by design, if Fears and Morez are just going to be role players or supplemental players. Now, don't get me wrong, either of which I'm okay with. The fact that Team USA has 2 Illinois basketball players on the team is in itself a fantastic feeling. And that they're going to get this experience playing abroad in these sort of environments is a great thing for the program. I was just hoping that we could kind of see more of a showcase of what Jeremiah and Morez are going to be able to do in an Illini uniform. Having said that, while their offensive numbers weren't all that great in the first game, you can really see them both bring it on the defensive end. And that's where I think Brad Underwood and honestly Illini Nation in general is going to really like these two players. Like I said, Fears had 3 steals all in the first half, and he was being pesky with the ball. You can tell he was bothering the opposing guard every time they try to bring it up court. And I can see a future where he's going to make future Big Ten point guards uncomfortable. Morez Jr., it usually takes some amount of time for a big to come into the Big Ten and be able to muscle around with a lot of the other bigs in the conference. I don't know how long it's going to take Morez, and I think it's not going to be as long as it usually does. He's super athletic. He's not scared of contact. And I just think that Morez is ready to play in the Big Ten next year. My hope is that Morez and Jeremiah are going to get some more playing time moving forward, at least in this tournament, because I want the nation to see what us Illini fans already know, and that's that we have an extremely bright future here in Champaign. And that'll be enough for today. Thank you again for tuning into Locked On Illini. Remember, it costs you nothing to hit that like button. It costs you nothing to hit that subscribe button. Share this with a friend. Just know that every little gesture helps me in a big, big way. And I can continue doing this for you every single day. Because remember, I'm the only content when it comes to the Illini that you're going to get every single day. And I want to keep it that way. But until tomorrow, ILL. Love you guys.